Hello, everyone, and welcome to Three Girls, One Monthly Catch-Up. This is our second month doing this. I will leave a playlist below if you want to see our first video, but essentially what we decided to do was have our monthly recaps done together so that we would actually do a monthly catch-up. Otherwise, wasn't getting done individually. So yeah, why don't we start with the Wildcard highlights. So these are just things, it doesn't matter. It's just kind of a wildcard random category, whatever we'd like to share that doesn't fall into our other categories, stories, memories, business, events, acquisitions, whatever.
It was my dad's 70th in May. So I took my mum and dad for afternoon tea to a little cafe. It's like it does afternoon tea. That's what it does. And it's on the river bank where I live. It's really beautiful. You get like masses of food. You get sandwiches and a scone and 2 types of cake and crisps and unlimited tea. And so that was really nice. That was really nice. And my parents were away just before and they're going away again just after. So it was the first time I'd seen them in a while as well. So it was really lovely. It's just a short little one, but that was
amazing.
A nice thing.
That sounds fabulous.
Awesome.
The only thing that I wanted to mention is that I did manage to get 2 shop updates out the door in May, which was pretty exciting. I was pretty proud of myself for managing to get that done. And I did have a shop update go live just the other day, Tuesday of this week. And a lot of my older stuff is also actually on sale right now. So because I'm trying to clear out some inventory for all of the new designs I've been making. So new stuff and a sale.
Yes. Very exciting. We'll get the description box for the link to Sarah's shop, Sunset Bow Boutique on Etsy. As you know, one of my hobbies is doll collecting.
Did you get a new doll?
This was a holy grail doll. Like she's out of stock, and she came up on a Facebook buy sell group at a steal. And I was able to get her.
Yay!
And I literally, she came in the mail today. So this counts because as we film,
it's still May. Yeah.
It's May. But here she is. Her name is Steampunk Mad Hatter, something like that. So she's a pull-up doll. So for anyone who doesn't know, pull-ups are a Korean-based doll company. And these are for adult collectors. And so she is just, I don't have her full stock on her. She came with like some type of pleather like netting situation and one of those like top hats like the Mad Hatter wears. So she's supposed to have like a steampunk vibe, obviously. But yeah, I'm really enjoying that. This is her original stock. So I'm just really enjoying the outfit and just the coloring and the eyes, how they can close and open and go from side to side. She's amazing. So I'm really glad that I was able to snatch her up because she's hard to find. When they go out of stock, they can be very expensive, just like with anything like decks or anything else that you collect. And she is, I might take her out of her buns and I don't know, maybe change the stock. I mean, that's one thing I liked about her is that even though she does have kind of a gothy feel to her, I've seen her in very kind of girly dresses and that other people have posted and it works. So I think she could actually be a strangely like versatile doll to put in different fashions. So I'm really happy with her. Next up, we have decks. The deck that I used the most this month was the Spirit Keepers Tarot, the Revelation edition. And, you know, like I said, I was focusing on just AANHPI. So, of course, Obvi, Benabel Wen, Asian creator. And no, this is a deck where I have done like a preliminary kind of like study where I went through the book, I went through each card, and this time around I wasn't so much focused on that, but just kind of reading with it and having fun with it, and using it for daily draws. I actually even used this in conjunction with the Arcane Warrior Tarot that had just come in, which you would think is kind of an odd combination, but they actually spoke to each other quite well. And so I just really enjoyed it. Like, even though I may not have necessarily remembered, say, like the backstory to each of the cards, because there's so much in each image, that really wasn't the point for me. That wasn't the focus.
Right.
So yeah, it's great. I love this deck. I love it so much. And yeah, I think it's one where you can use it for mundane readings. I may or may not do like a video kind of talking about that, because like I just feel like I hear a lot that it's a kind of an intimidating deck for people, which I understand, because at first it was for me too. But it's actually quite versatile if you let it be.
No, I totally agree. I mean, to me, that deck, so not necessarily even the Revelation edition, but when I had the Vitruvian edition of the Spirit Tarot, I remember feeling quite intimidated by it, just because of the amount of supplementary material that Benabel prepared for it. But then one day I actually did a tag that Benabel created, and I just sat down and just like read with it, just read with it.
Yeah.
And it read so fluidly, and you can just go as deep into the supplementary material as you want with that. Like, you can either get really, really, really deep into that, all the various esoteric aspects that she put into it, or you could just read it,
Read it. Exactly.
It speaks beautifully either way. So
I remember that tag, and I did it in my journal, and I was going to do a VR, but then I just never got around to it. I might have to resurrect it, resurrect that tag and do it again.
Tag, yeah. And I just remember, like, the tag itself, it was like a philosophical question.
It was.
And the deck just like,
it's so good.
So talkative. Like, it was awesome. It was an awesome experience reading with it. And now I have the Revelation edition, and it's the same kind of thing. Like, I haven't even remotely delved into all of the surrounding supplemental material, but it just reads great as a deck.
It absolutely does. So,
and I don't have this deck, but I think that is true of most tarot decks.
Yeah.
Right? Once you know tarot, you, in theory, you can read with anything. And all of that extra stuff is exactly that. It's just extra layers that you can choose to include or not, depending on how deep you want to go at any given moment in time. So I have been working with the Squidcake Tarot all month this month. I was going to do some study, but I didn't. I literally just played with the deck. The lighting in here is really bad, but there's not much to see with this deck anyway. It's a Marseille deck. A lot of it is just Marseille pips. But it's a really nice deck. Like, I really just enjoy looking at it. I love the color palette. I love the size of it. I really, really, really like the guidebook. Even though it's only a small amount for each card, it's just enough. And I am a little bit in love with this deck, which I never thought I would say about a Marseille deck, but it's so much fun to work with. And I am putting it away for next month, in terms of it's not going to be the deck that I have out on my desk, but I am going to use it to do some Marseille study, I think, over the next few months, while I've got a bit of a break between university courses. So I'm really, really glad I got it. I think everybody should buy it. Everybody should have it.
So cute. It is on my list. It is so adorable, I have to say.
It really is. And it's just, I mean, it is just a Marseille deck. I think if I got out my other Marseille deck, the CBD one I've got, it's exactly the same, apart from the fact that obviously the people are different.
It's not exactly.
No, but I mean, in terms of the pips are exactly the same. It's the same layout. It's the same, you've got the flowers in the same places and stuff. It's just because it's pink. And it's small. And
no Roman numerals.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Yeah.
It's just cute. And it has pink and it's so cute. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
adorable. And
So apparently, if you want me to buy your deck, all you have to do is make it pink. It really is that easy. And I've also been working with this month. Sorry, I have two, but the other one is an oracle because I've been working with an oracle deck this month.
Woohoo!
Thanks to my lovely Sarah, because she sent me the morning card oracle.
Yay!
And I am really enjoying it. Like, I just left it out and thought, I'll just, I'll leave it out and I'll see what I feel like. And I found that every single day I'm reaching for it. I'm drawing a card from it. Month has been a really personally difficult month for me. I lost a very good friend in May, and this deck has just brought me a hell of a lot of comfort in a time that's been really, really difficult.
Yeah.
So I'm really grateful to have it. Thank you, Sarah.
Oh, I'm so happy because like I wasn't using that deck enough, and it just like it really wanted to go live with you. And like the I know that you have the Bana Tarot on the way too.
Yes.
And like that deck should be paired with that tarot, and I didn't back that tarot, but you did, and so it needed to go live with you. So I'm so happy. Okay, so in May I finally started working with the Arthurian Tarot. So I have been doing started the HalloQuest course. Like the way that the HalloQuest course works is that there's like some introductory lessons that you do. And some of those introductory lessons involve doing things like daily draws with this deck. There's like a daily spread that you do with it that kind of helps you get to know the deck better, like while you're kind of doing all of those introductory lessons. And then there's seasonal lessons for the rest of the course. So basically I spent May doing I'm almost done with the introductory lessons, and I've been using this deck for the daily draws. And then the summer part of the course I can start on the solstice. So that's, June 21st. So at the point that I start doing the rest of the course, like it's sort of a weekly lesson kind of thing. So I probably won't continue at that point using just this deck the way that I've been like kind of solely using this deck in May. But it's been a really great month to really get to know it. And I've been getting a lot out of the course so far. It's just been a really cool experience. So, and just especially like, I don't know, I'm just kind of at a weird point in my life where I'm just like trying to figure out what the next move is. And like, that was sort of my goal for doing the course. And so far I've just been getting a lot out of it.
It's definitely something that I would be interested to hear more about as you go along with whatever you choose to share, obviously. But
yeah. I mean, the first set of lessons are kind of about like big concepts. There's like a part where you sort of establish yourself as the seeker, and there's like a series of like meditations that you do to basically figure out, what is your purpose of going on this path, and like what are you trying to figure out and learn about yourself as you continue. And then there's a set of lessons that are around like the land and your surroundings and getting more in tune with the part of the world that you live in. So it's all like kind of really enriching stuff that you do. And it just, I don't know, it's felt really good to just sort of like really kind of delve deep into certain aspects of the self, I guess, So yeah, it's a really, really cool course, and the deck is really beautiful. And, there's a lot of the cards are, in a lot of ways, they definitely follow a Smith-Waite system, but there's also a lot of extra insight that is brought to them by the aspects of Arthurian legend that are contained in the cards. And so it's just really good. So it's been awesome.
Next category we have is TV and movie. So I would say for me, the highlight TV show was Queen Charlotte on Netflix. So this is part of the Bridgerton verse, kind of like period piece type, romantic, historical romance, I guess. I don't know what category.
Regency romance.
Regency
romance, yep.
Regency romance. And so this is actually, I guess, like a spin-off of that series. It's based on Queen Charlotte and King George, aka Mad King George, and basically their courtship and marriage and their lives together. And so you kind of see a younger Charlotte. Whereas in previous seasons of Bridgerton, you are seeing the older Queen Charlotte. So I thought it was overall just really well done. I thought that they chose fantastic actors to portray the younger characters. I just also like some of the supporting roles. Those were nice, like those were pleasant surprises, because a lot of times they could very well be just kind of flat throwaway characters, but I found myself very invested in the two butlers, the right hands of the king and queen. I don't know if have you two seen?
I haven't watched it yet. No.
Why?
No, because I've been watching something else, which I'll tell you about. So yeah, so I haven't gotten to it yet. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay. Well, then I will not provide any spoilers. This is just to say I really enjoyed it.
It is 100% on my to watch list because it's a Bridgerton thing, and obviously I'm going to watch it, right?
Yes. I mean,
but I have been watching something else. So
okay, yeah, so good. Highly recommend if you're into that thing. If you're into Regency romance, and if you're a fan of Julia Quinn? I mean, these are definitely loosely based, right. This is Shondaland, so inspired by, but I think Julia Quinn does have a pretty significant hand in script and production and such. I don't know to what extent, but
Although interestingly you say that, and I really enjoy the Bridgerton series that I've watched so far, but I am 99% sure I would hate those books.
Yes, you would, and I believe we were the ones that kind of forced you to watch the series.
Basically, yeah.
If I recall correctly,
yeah,
you were not about it.
No, and I did end up enjoying them, but I really don't think I would enjoy them if I sat down and read them.
No,
I personally think the series is better than the book.
I do too. I will say, so I tried reading on Kindle.
Is it The Duke and I is the first one, is it?
Sorry?
Is The Duke and I the first one?
Yes. And I think I tried reading that one and the second one. Yes. The second one on Kindle, maybe. I don't remember. Anyway, it was, and I will say also reading it, print copy versus audio reading are different experiences. I would say I enjoyed audio reading them more than I did reading them via print. Just because the narrator did a great job. And I think that definitely the series is better, in my opinion, than the book.
I didn't really watch any TV this month, apart from The Big Bang Theory, which I've been watching for most of the year. But I watched a couple of films on Netflix. The other day I watched Freaky, which I wasn't sure if I would like. But this is basically a body-swapping slasher horror with Vince Vaughn playing a teenage girl. And it is, I mean, it's pure generic slasher, the slasher stuff, but you mix in Vince Vaughn being a teenage girl, and it was really, really enjoyable. It was really good fun. I will caveat that by saying I am a huge fan of slasher. I love horror, and slasher is my favorite. So, and I will watch anything slasher wise, but I genuinely thought it was good fun. It was a good hour and a half that I really enjoyed. I would highly recommend. Vince Vaughn he's really good as a teenage girl. It's very strange. She wasn't so good playing him. Her thing was just walking around with a pissed off face, looking evil. But he was great. He was just so much fun. It's like Freaky Friday meets Scream. It was a good laugh. So I would recommend that. It's on Netflix. And then I also watched Kill Boksoon, which is also on Netflix, which is a Korean one about a mother who also happens to be an assassin. And I watched it right at the beginning, but it's like there's all these different rules. So assassins, like everybody knows that like killers and assassins and everything exist, but they've got all these gangs and there's all these different rules that they have to live by. And she breaks one of the rules.
Sort of like John Wick. This sounds very John Wick.
Yeah, and it kind of upends everything. And then she also has a teenage daughter who is just discovering her sexuality and is having a relationship with a girl, which in Korea is a big deal because it's a very conservative country. So that kind of sparks a whole thing. It was good. It was really enjoyable. It did what Korean films do a lot, and you think that you're getting one story and one genre, and then it does something completely different and goes in a direction that you weren't expecting. But I really liked it. It's very. Have either of you heard of the book The Plotters, which is by is it Kim Unsu, I think is his name, which I read as a translation, but that's a Korean book, and that's the same kind of thing where it's like the fact that gangs and assassins exist is kind of, it's like this other world where it's Korea, but a Korea where people accept that gangs and stuff exist and it's part of society and there's all these rules and stuff. It was a bit like that. It was enjoyable. It was very enjoyable.
What I've been watching on TV randomly all month is that I think it was just because my parents were harassing me to finally watch it, but a show that had been on my list that I had just never gotten around to for the like decade or something since it's come out is Justified, Timothy Oliphant.
Oh, okay.
Which is so good. Like, I cannot even convey how I was thinking that it was just like a procedural that takes place in Kentucky with a U.S. Marshal, right? But it's, honest to God, like so much better than I thought it was going to be. And I am so sucked in and invested now. And I'm like in season 3 now. I've just been really addicted to that show. It's just, it is sort of a procedural about, Timothy Oliphant is a U.S. Marshal who is, basically posted in Lexington, Kentucky, but he's from Harlan County, Kentucky, and so he's back in the mix with all of these people that he dug coal with or went to school with, and all of the crime that goes on, whether it's related to various kinds of drug running or like whatever kinds of crime is going on in this small town. But all of the characters are so well drawn. They evolve so much over time. Like, it's just really a great show. I was not expecting to be as sucked in and involved in it as I am. So yeah, Justified is really, really good. I know there's probably a lot of people who are like, yeah, duh, because
I wouldn't have known.
It actually was out, but I'm extremely late to the party, but it is a really good show.
All right, next category is books. So the one I'm going to talk about is actually a picture book. So I collect picture books, and this is called Love in the Library.
Oh.
And this is by Maggie Tokuda-Hall and illustrated by Yas Imamura. So essentially this book is about, it's based on a true story of the author's grandparents who were placed in a Japanese internment camp during World War II. Mm-hmm. And so for AANHPI month, mm-hmm. Scholastic had offered this author license for the book to feature as part of the AANHPI narrative collection. Mm-hmm. And she writes about this in a blog post. She has her own blog. I will link that in the description below. But it essentially details how she was so excited that Scholastic approached her about this. Mm-hmm. And but there was a contingency, which was that they wanted to edit her author's note. Mm-hmm. And what they wanted to edit was basically any reference to racism and, white supremacy. Basically, they wanted to scrub it down to just being an Asian American love story. And her response was, fuck off. Yeah. Like, this breaks my heart because, you're Scholastic. Mm-hmm. And also cowardly. And mm-hmm. also, fuck off, no. So, yeah, she gives a screen grab of what they sent her that they wanted her to they wanted to take out from the author's note. And then she also posts her reply. I think it's two candlewick for them to pass on to Scholastic or something like that. Mm-hmm. It was a great blog post. Since then, Scholastic has apologized. So I highly recommend this book. On top of all that drama, I mean, that's what alerted me to the book. It is actually a very sweet story and also an educational story. So it does go into details about, these Japanese internment camps or incarceration camps, whatever you want to call them. And yeah, and it's well illustrated. It's a great book. So if you're into picture books, I highly recommend.
The one I want to talk about, I don't have a copy of because it was a Kindle read, but I read Pines by Blake Crouch. Have either of you seen the TV show Wayward Pines?
No, but I've heard about it.
So the first book is the first, I believe it's only the first 3 episodes of the TV show.
Oh.
And it's basically this FBI agent gets sent to Wayward Pines to look into 2 missing FBI agents, but he wakes up at the beginning by a lake and he's all bruised and he can't remember who he is and he's got no ID and stuff. And then you cannot know anything else about the book but that going in. I mean, I love Blake Crouch. He was one of my first ever sci-fi reads, and he's always a 5-star for me. And this was like no different. But it was one of those books, when I wasn't reading it, I was thinking about it. Like I was genuinely obsessed with this book. I couldn't figure it's so strange. Stuff goes on. You've got no idea what's happening. This town is really odd and people are behaving really weirdly. And then when you figure out what's going on, it's pretty mind-fucking. And then there's a twist that you just don't see coming right at the end that's like, you get it, but you don't like it.
Gotcha.
And there's 2 other books. It is a trilogy and there's 2 other books. Now that I know what this town is and what's happening, I don't know if I'll bother to read the other 2.
Oh, interesting.
Because I think what made this so good was that I spent the whole book. I mean, I was reading it at work because our system was down, and I'm sat at my desk reading it at work going, what the fuck? What the fuck is happening? It's just so good. It's frustrating. So if you don't like the kind of books where you genuinely have no idea what's going on and stuff is happening and you don't know why, you will hate this book. But if you can deal with that level of frustration, it's the end is totally worth it. It's very good.
The most recent book that I read in May that I did enjoy was the most recent Tana French book, which was called The Searcher. Have either of you guys read any Tana French?
Last month I read The Witch Elm. It's the first one I've ever read.
Yeah. Actually, I really loved that book. I don't know how you felt about it, but I thought it was really good. And I've also really enjoyed her Dublin Murder Squad series. They're just really good mysteries. So, and The Searcher is kind of similar. It's a standalone like The Witch Elm, but so it's not affiliated with the whole Dublin Murder Squad series, but it still takes place in Ireland. It's basically about this American cop who he gets divorced and he decides that he wants to move to Ireland and buy a little cottage out in the middle of nowhere and live in Ireland, and eventually starts getting involved with the locals, and there is this local boy who's gone missing, and basically gets involved in this whole mystery around this missing kid that nobody else cares about because so many kids from that town just leave, they go somewhere else, they take off, and they are just sort of never heard from again, which is what everybody assumes has happened with this kid. But there's a lot of reasons to think that that's not actually what happened with him. And so this cop starts investigating, even though he's retired and he's not actually a cop anymore and he's an outsider in the community, he starts kind of investigating what's going on with that. So it was good. It wasn't my favorite Tana French book, but all of her books are sort of above average, I feel in terms of the quality of mystery that she writes. I think she writes really good mystery novels, and so I always enjoy them. So that one was probably a 4-star read for me. So yeah, that was the most recent one that I read.
And that is the end of our May monthly catch-up. So hope you all enjoyed, and please come back and join us again on Saturday, June the 3rd, for our next episode of Three Girls, One Deck. And until the next time, much love and take care. Bye.
Bye.